Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline. We're live in the BPTV studios to do our show for you. Thanks for watching us on Comcast 7 locally in Bethel Park. We appreciate you. And then you can watch us everywhere, including the city of Pittsburgh and the communities from Mccutchen to Cranberry, Wexford on Verizon 32. We just hit a new high, 6,130 likes on Facebook. So thanks for the likes on Facebook and watching our shows there too. So we appreciate it. We're going to start, I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. We got Chip the Prophet Hayner, Smoking Jim Frazier's here. We just had the best pizza you could have from Olive Oil's Pizzeria. 412-831-1900. Give them a call.
That steak hoagie wasn't too shabby.
Steak hoagie was wonderful. None of it's left. They left me the last piece to eat, so I ate it.
There you go.
Thanks, guys.
Step up to the plate.
And give them a call there, 412-831-1900. They'll answer. Not like last week, they had some phone trouble, they said. And the phones lit up at 7:30 or so. And we start our show off with What's on Your Mind. We're going to do that in this opening segment. What's on your mind? Smoking Jim Frazier.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green, you got to see Levine. Old high school option quarterback days. Here it comes back at you.
When was that? What year was that?
Hey, congratulations again to my main man, Chip Hayner, for being inducted into the Pittsburgh Sportsline Hall of Fame. And I wanted to get that out real quick because I know Chip may not be too happy with me after what's on my mind. But part of it was written by Donald Trump's wife. But anywho, Andrew Mccutchen, first of all, I believe a lot of times it's better to be lucky than good. And I'm a firm believer in that most athletes that I know are superstitious. And I said a year ago that Andrew Mccutchen made a bad career move when he cut his hair because he lost his swag. And,
you're still on the hair.
I'm still on that hair. And I know he did it for charity, and now he's getting pretty much booed out of Pittsburgh. Listen, after going 0-8 in an 18-inning victory from the Pittsburgh Pirates, Andrew Mccutchen to me looked kind of like an old 29-year-old. And I believe the Pittsburgh Pirates...
When did you see him?
I believe the Pittsburgh Pirates... should trade Andrew Mccutchen and start a rotation with Adam Frazier and Josh Bell in the outfield. I would move the Marte Partey to center field. My favorite all-time Pirate is Andy Van Slyke. But Adam Frazier's beginning to close the gap, especially after hitting 3 doubles in one game. And I really believe that to win a World Series, you have to have great veterans, and the Pirates do. But I also believe that there's nothing like youthful enthusiasm, which you could get from Adam Frazier and Josh Bell. But regardless, I believe that this is going to be the Pirates' year, and they're going to win the World Series. But what I would do is I would trade Andrew Mccutchen. And that's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Smoking Jim Frazier. Very informative from an NFL scout. Appreciate it. Did you see any innings of the 18 innings?
I see quite a few. I see the number of them.
In other words, he didn't see any.
I like listening on the radio.
That's what you always say. That doesn't cover much ground there. But thanks, Smoking Jim. Appreciate your insights. And what's on your mind? Chip Hayner, what's on your mind?
Oh, thank you, Alan. And quite interesting insights by my dear friend Jim. And, if he only understood a little bit about baseball. You forgot about a certain right fielder who's probably got the best arm on the team, Gregory Polanco. You're going to have a guy that hasn't played right field in 2 years professionally and still hasn't even mastered the first base position based on 3 at-bats. Well, where he belongs is playing every day in Indianapolis, where he will refine his skills and will become the first baseman of the future for the Pirates. But I don't look for him to be a big part of the Pirates' success this year. And just to kind of touch on the troubles, the difficulties that Andrew Mccutchen's having this year, let's not lose sight of the history of the game of baseball. And everybody knows that in 1966, Roberto Clemente was the first Latin American player to win the MVP award in Major League Baseball. And he was the best right fielder in baseball. The following year, I believe he may have had, I think he batted about 250. He had 16 home runs. And, it's just something that happens in the game of baseball. The guys have bad years. McCutchen's doing that. He's still going to be an integral part of our success this year. But 2 things are on my mind this week. The first is, and I believe this is the last we shall ever hear of it, Tom Brady will serve his 4-game suspension. And he will serve his 4-game suspension not because he was found either guilty or innocent of the Deflategate scandal, but he was, the appeal that he filed was that he questioned Roger Goodell's ability to be able to hand down punishment on him. Apparently, Tom Brady and the NFL Players Union failed to read the collective bargaining agreement. And they happened to give Roger Goodell those powers specifically. So when the judge ruled on, well, did Roger Goodell have the right to punish him? Well, yes, it was right there in the letter. It was pretty simple. So they spent $20 million of money that could have gone to benefit the players, the health of players with brain injuries. But no, we're going to spend it in court on a frivolous lawsuit. But hopefully that's the end of it. Tom Brady serves his 4-game suspension, unless, of course, the Players Association, over top of Tom Brady's objections, decides to take it to the Supreme Court and gets laughed out of it. But the thing that's most on my mind this week, and Joe Torre, if anybody is unaware who he is, he's the chief of baseball operations for the commissioner's office, and he handles disciplinary actions and things of that nature. And he came out on Sunday and he gave a message to all 30 major league managers, and he told them that it was about time that they quit arguing balls and strikes. It's detrimental to the game, and it's not accomplishing anything, and it's creating a bad situation for the game of baseball. And that brings up the question, should baseball continue with the way they have done things for the last 140 years and have the umpires call balls and strikes? Or should you let a computer dictate what's a ball and a strike?
Yes.
And being that the game of baseball is played by human beings and it is umpired by human beings, I think you have to deal with the flaws of human beings because baseball players are not robots. They make mistakes. They strike out. They make errors. They overrun bases. Umpires, in the most part, they get the calls right. Now, I will have to say, I think there should be a little bit more consistency with the strike zone. There has been some a wide latitude as to what's a strike and what's not a strike, and I think that's something that could be tweaked. But in no way, shape, or form do I think that Major League Baseball should let a computer dictate what's a ball and what's a strike. The game's played by human beings. It should be umpired by human beings. They make mistakes. They make mistakes. You live with it. It's the way it's always been. It's the way it's always should be. That's what's on my mind.
Can I say one thing, Machine?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it's pretty easy for an umpire when the guy goes 0-8. But the reason that computers should make the calls is because now the players are, and the players and managers are right to argue with the umpires because you can see it on the big screen TV now when they blow the call. So it should be done by the computers to get it right.
The question being, is the angle that the photograph is taken from, is it a true straight-on angle?
Good angle to me.
No. Who's got the best idea of what the ball's coming
on
in?
The radio. How can you even
person
see
that's
that?
got the best
You're on the
idea
radio,
of
man.
whether the ball's in the strike zone or not is the umpire who's
point.
standing
Good
directly
point.
behind the
Good
catcher.
point.
He's got an unobstructed view. But yes, there should be a little bit more consistency with the balls and strikes. Never should they allow a computer to call balls and strikes in Major League Baseball.
And how do you see the big screen on the radio, Smoking Jim?
You haven't watched a baseball game this year.
No. Look, he's choking on that piece of pizza. That's amazing. Good points, Chip. What's on my mind? First, I got a few things to test Dominic and see if he can pick it up. We got our cameraman Dominic in here.
Zooming in.
He's going to zoom in on a couple things that I got here. Let me get it lined up here. All right, Dominic, this is for you here, buddy. This is with the Bethel Park Community Foundation. If you have any groups or organizations doing stuff in the community, and you need some money, they have from $100 to $5,000 available. You got to submit your request into them and have a meeting. And they do have money that they're passing out for people in our area here in Bethel Park. So check it out. That's bpcf.org. Go to the website and see the procedure that you have to take to try to get some money for your group or organization doing good things in the community. All right. Then we had some great guests on last night that are fighting this Saturday night. King of the Cage in the tent at the Meadows Racetrack and Casino. It's a beautiful tent. They got the cage there. It's air conditioned. It's heated if we need it. Hopefully we don't need it on Saturday, but it's a great environment there. And we had great guys on, 4 of them, so it was a pleasure having them last night at our Pittsburgh Sportsline, Jim Frazier's Hall of Fame. So it was a great show. Then we got an event on the 30th coming up quicker than we think. It's the Rev 'em Up for Kids car cruise at South Park Fairgrounds, and that's July 30th between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. There's plenty of things to do, from prizes, games, music. There's always a concert there with some singers and groups. You have to check it out. And it's just a great event there. They've been doing it for years, and it helps out with the rec and the football. So check it out. Rev 'em Up for Kids. Then we always end the show with Stay Joey Strong. If you can get a close-up on this little flyer with the Joey Favis Childhood Cancer Foundation. You can go online, donate as little as $1, help out. You can volunteer for events that they have. It's sad how little Joey died before his 9th birthday. He was diagnosed with DIPG, which is a brain cancer. There's no cure for it, and it kills you within a year. So it's a terrible thing, and we're trying to find out what causes it and let them do more research. And they donated money last year to the doctor to research this dreaded disease for children. So check it out, Joey Favis Cancer Foundation. What's on my mind after? Hey, one more thing. Smoking Jim's business partner, Jody Velasquez, is one of the Hall of Famers. This is her book, The Slick Move Guide. If you need a book to read, I've read it. If you're going to move, it has tips in here that'll save you money and time and wasting effort in packing. So it'll give you the most efficient way to do all these things. So check it out, Slick Move Guide. It's available online too, she said.
I highly recommend it.
There you go. You got an endorsement by Chip and Stephanie, who used it.
Oh,
All right, thanks, Dominic. You did a nice job on getting those flyers and books. What's on my mind is I can't believe Steeler training camp starts, is it next week, Smoking Jim?
Yes, sir.
first
already.
practice is next Friday.
Friday's the first practice. Unbelievable. Where did the time go? Then next we'll be looking for training camp for the Penguins.
Wow, that's right.
That's coming up after that. So Steelers first, and it's just great that we got this stuff happening. The Steelers, all I ask is that they stay healthy. We got a heck of a team. We got lots of running backs. I'd like to see Pouncey play all year. That's one of my goals, to see him stay healthy and play all year. So go Steelers. Training camp's next Friday, Chip told me, so can't wait.
Anything less than a trip to the Super Bowl this year is going to be a major disappointment for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Got to win it. I want them to win it this year.
You know, you got to get there first.
Got money on it.
Well, Smoking Jim.
Heavy money? Yeah, I told you had to take that money on a diet.
We know the betting. If Smoking Jim's a known gambler, if you don't bet, don't start. And if you do bet, don't listen to him, because last year he lost 6 houses and won 2 back at the end. So it's not a good business there, and he'll talk about it throughout our shows, as you know, if you watch it more. Hey, Chief, thanks for coming out. Hope you're having your dinner right now. It was a pleasure seeing you last night at the Hollywood Lanes.
Chief, it's always a pleasure.
All right, now we got our segments that are, well, we might as well go to Smoking Jim's right now. Fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. Before I go through the facts,
You got some fiction.
Is any of the Penguins playing in the Olympics?
They don't play hockey in Summer Olympics.
Oh, there we go. There we go. I got my answer, brother.
They're afraid of getting Zika, right?
Okay,
Again, let me clarify. Smoking Jim's an NFL scout and a Steelers scout. And he does some boxing and other things around here. He claims to follow baseball. We're not too sure about his following baseball, because he is in his vehicle a lot, but I have never heard the baseball game in his vehicle on. So
I'm glad we're not going to lose no Penguins. All right.
good, Smoking Jim. I'm glad that pumped you up.
So now I can continue my belief they're going to go back to back. So, anywho, what's the fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac is, we got to go all the way back to last night.
Way back.
Wow, the Wayback Machine is wide open.
And I tell you what, when we put together the Pittsburgh Sportsline Hall of Fame,
I don't know what this we is about.
last night, the goal of the Pittsburgh Sportsline Hall of Fame, one of the goals other than recognizing deserving people, because we know recognition is the oxygen to the soul. But the main reason for me was that the number one banquet in the state of Pennsylvania is the Dapper Dan Banquet. And I believe that the Pittsburgh Sportsline Hall of Fame banquet will one day replace that as the number one seat. And last night was a very good indication, because not only did the fans come out, even Channel 2 News came out, and hopefully next year we can get Dominic and Hayden to come out and see the show. And I'm glad
Hayden was actually there before you got there.
Oh, I missed him. So
yeah, Hayden's in the control room tonight.
Yeah, so I'm glad that I appreciate the volunteers, and love to see them on Monday night, as well as Tuesday. But anywho, just wanted to mention some of the Hall of Famers. Got my man to the right, Chip Hayner, and who's a Hall of Famer mainly because of his wife Stephanie. We got Jody Velasquez is in. How about the beautiful Bethany Montecalvo is in, who got the great last name. It's one of the main reasons why she was on the show initially. Bob Burnett, Hall of Famer. We got
the best dressed guest on our show almost all the time.
Sharp, he loves our show, and had a hard time finding it. He's looking for a bowling alley and found it. Amir Dudley, Hall of Famer. And the one that I'm most proud of, how about my main man, Frank Favis, is in the Hall of Fame. So
nice photos again today he put up.
He sure did, especially of Candy.
And you. You were with her. Thanks, Smoking Jim.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I can't believe you went that far back. and since you brought up the Pittsburgh Sportsline Hall of Fame, I don't know how you do it. He's in charge I know they have to at least be a guest on our show. At least that's what I have to assume.
And have a beautiful wife.
It's always about the women.
You know,
Were you in any nice photos with her? You didn't get in one.
I got one with Stephanie.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah.
Well, at least you got one of the qualifications for that. For Chip, anyhow.
yeah, there you go.
Well, that works out. Well, I'm starting to dig deep in the criteria for being in our Pittsburgh Sportsline
Just when
Hall
you
of
think
Fame.
you've got the answers, he's going to change the questions.
Oh, without a doubt.
There's a manual about that thing, how you get in.
That I can't believe.
That thing.
There's no way. That's too much fiction. I want to see one sheet of paper about it. Hopefully we'll get to see that. All right, let's go to Chip's Trivia Time.
Thank you, Alan. And, just to reiterate, I'm very honored to be a member of the Pittsburgh Sportsline Hall of Fame. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Alan. And, from my humble beginnings in episode number 3, I came on and then the nickname I earned was Wally Chip. And then for those of you who don't understand where that came from, the New York Yankees back in the early to mid-20s had a all-star first baseman. His name was Wally Pipp.
Oh, yeah.
Wally had to miss a game, and somebody took his spot. It just so happened to be the Iron Horse, Lou Gehrig, and he didn't give it up for 14 years. Didn't miss another game for 14 years. So they got me on episode 3. They haven't been able to get rid of me since. So
There you go.
What base did they
thanks.
play?
First base.
Like Josh Bell. Okay, go ahead, continue.
Okay, so last Tuesday night was the All-Star game, and a little bit of a disappointment in the All-Star game because it was the lowest ratings ever on national TV for the
Smoking Jim forgot to watch it.
Major League All-Star game. But I do have a little bit of All-Star trivia, and in the history of the All-Star game, which started first in 1933, 7 different Pirates have hit home runs in the All-Star game history. And there are 2 players who have homered more than once. One of them is Ralph Kiner. The other one is Archie Vaughan. Roberto Clemente did homer once. He actually homered the year that Doc Ellis gave up that monster home run to Reggie Jackson in Tiger Stadium, 1971. Wow. So Roberto Clemente did homer in that year.
Was Roberto the first black to homer for the Pirates in the All-Star game?
He's
Latino.
Latin American, Jim. He was from from
Latino.
Puerto Rico.
You can have A-Rod. We want Roberto.
Okay, so now and there is in the history of the All-Star game, there's one player that's hit an inside-the-park home run in an All-Star game. And that is the hit king in baseball, the new hit king in baseball, Ichiro Suzuki, who is now, in his major league career, 6 hits shy of 3,000 in the major leagues.
Really?
But he surpassed Pete Rose's number of hits, and he's another singles hitter. But getting back to the hitting action, I always like to note achievements in baseball, and we equate achievements in baseball with certain numbers. There's certain numbers like, there's 3,000 base hits. Mm-hmm. There's 3,000 strikeouts. For a pitcher, there's 300 wins. So the very first player in Major League Baseball history to get 3,000 hits in his career happened in 1897 on July 16th. Chicago's Cap Anson became the first major leaguer to 3,000 hits when he singled off Baltimore's George Blackburn. Now, that happened in 1897. In 1972, on September 30th, Roberto Clemente became the 11th player in Major League history to get 3,000 hits. Wow. So to show you how significant of an achievement that is, 1897, it took them 70 years to come up with 10 more players to do that. Wow. So just wanted to bring that to people's attention. It all started there. Now, Babe Ruth, for the longest time, was the home run king of Major League Baseball until the great Hammer and Hank Aaron surpassed him and took over the mantle. But Babe Ruth broke his own season record of 29 homers with his 30th home run as the Yankees beat the St. Louis Browns on July 16th, 1920.
Wow.
So that was, I guess the balls may have been juiced Or maybe it was the Babe, huh?
Well, no doubt about the Babe.
Okay, now also July 16th, and I go back to probably one of the greatest seasons in baseball history. And I say this because there were two accomplishments in the summer of 1941 that have happened that have not happened since. Ted Williams was the last player to bat 400 for an entire season, and Joe DiMaggio had his 56-game hitting streak. So on July 16th, 1941, Joe DiMaggio extended his hitting streak to 56 games with a 3-for-4 day as the Yankees beat the Cleveland Indians. And I bring up that significant fact because on July 17th, 1941, Joe DiMaggio's streak ended. And that is the streak that I believe will never be broken in this day and age. And I've talked about this before, about with the specialization in pitchers and
Sure.
pitch counts and everything. I don't think we'll ever see anybody with a 56-game hitting streak, at least not in my lifetime. So that is something of note that should be brought to everybody's attention. Now, I talk about these numbers, and I go back to 1974 on July 17th. Okay, Bob Gibson, who was probably one of the greatest pitchers of his era, he would strike fear into any batter's heart. Well, Bob Gibson struck out Cesar Geronimo, July 17th, 1974, of the Reds, in the second inning to become the second pitcher in Major League history to record 3,000 strikeouts.
Wow.
Now, that's a pretty significant accomplishment. That record has since been passed by a number of other pitchers, Randy Johnson being one, Roger Clemens being another one, and, of course, the great Nolan Ryan, who struck out over 5,000. So just to think that in 1974, the second pitcher to strike out 3,000, that struck me as being fairly interesting. What else we got here? Also, you go back on July 18th. Now, last night on the Hall of Fame show, I brought up the fact that on July 18th, 1951, a record was set in Pittsburgh. The record was the largest live audience to see a boxing match, where Jersey Joe Walcott beat Ezzard Charles for the heavyweight championship. The fight was at Forbes Field.
Outdoor.
Well, July 18th, 1927, Ty Cobb of the Philadelphia Athletics doubled off the glove of Henry Heilman for his 4,000th hit. And it was not until, I believe, 1985 that Pete Rose surpassed that record after 25 years of slapping singles all over ballparks.
Ty Cobb was a great player, man.
Ty Cobb, arguably one of the greatest players of all time. That's a matter of opinion. But, I don't know how you determine who was the greatest when you have completely different eras. You look at the athletes of today compared to the athletes of the past.
The greatest is Barry Bonds, but yeah, I know what you mean about everybody else. And then there's everybody else. And it's a shame they'll never see him in Cooperstown.
Another one.
But that is just about it for the trivia for this week. I know we've got a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about with the second half of the season started with the Pirates. We've got the Steelers getting ready for training camp, and got a lot of sports to delve into in the next short while.
Well, thanks, Chip. Appreciate
Great job, Chip.
Smoking Jim, you always add some nice insights into that. I don't know where you get them from.
Well, just one real quick on top of that.
I figured you might have.
I don't think that this specialization of pitchers and all that garbage is the reason why Joe DiMaggio's record won't be broken. I think it won't be broken because there's certain players that will be intentionally walked. Barry Bonds was intentionally walked a lot, or he could have gotten, and I believe that Josh Bell's the type of hitter that can get a 56-game hitting streak.
Wow.
But like you said, at his last at-bat, he was walked.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that theory, Jim, is that Barry Bonds never had a hitting streak of over 20 games. And he played his entire career without ever having that happen. Not because he wasn't walked, because technically a walk does not count as an at-bat.
Really? So if somebody gets walked, what if they walk?
If you get to go to bat 5 times and you get walked 3 times, you have only had 2 at-bats in that game.
Huh?
Of 2 official at-bats.
Say that again.
We'll get into that after the show.
Yeah,
to
let me
explain
get
how
into
it
that because I
works.
want to. That puts a little hole in my theory.
Oh,
maybe.
they shot it all full of holes,
Well,
Jim.
that theory's blown up right now. It doesn't exist anymore.
If you walk,
Yes.
that doesn't count.
That does not count as an official at bat.
So if you walk in it all times, so your hitting streak continues. If
Well,
don't
yes,
get a
if
hit
you
that
walked
game?
5 times, you were at bat 5 times, and you walked 5 times, you're 0 for 0 for that day.
and your hitting streak continues,
Well,
or
yes.
stop.
Say you had a 1-game hitting streak.
Well,
You
it's
got
been-
walked 5 times, say 4 times the next day. You'd still have a
1-game hitting
1-game
streak.
hitting streak.
Okay, well, I'm glad that we got experts to my right because
Well, we played the game and watched the game. No,
they never said that on the radio.
And more importantly, I love the game.
we're passionate about baseball here, Smoking
Yes,
Jim.
we are.
You're a Johnny-come-lately. You're on whatever bandwagon that happens to be out there for some unknown reason. I don't even know if you know what station the game's on.
Yeah, I do.
Do you? Can I ask?
It's on one of the stations that's programmed on my
Pre-programmed.
yeah, it's pre-programmed.
So you don't know what it is. Okay. I didn't mean to ask another hard question, folks. Chief, eat your dessert now. He's done making silly.
Little update: Pirates are up 2-0 on the Brewers.
World
Bottom of the
Series,
first.
baby.
Bottom of the first.
There
And
you go.
since I brought up the score of tonight's game, why not break into our Pirates segment?
Hey, we could do that.
Well, I think a portion of the season that's going to be significant for the Pirates, they're just starting tonight. The next 20 games that we play against sub-500 teams. This is a really good chance for the Pirates to get their pitching woes under control. A lot of talk about, who should the Pirates trade? I don't think the Pirates are going to make any moves because, to be honest with you, there really isn't anybody out there that really jumps off the page.
Archer.
And he's having a really bad year. We've already got pitchers that are having bad years that we've
need another
been
one.
working with. And and here's the thing: to get anybody, we're going to have to give up some really good young talent that is right on the verge of being able to be major contributors
Sure.
to the major league team. So, I think that our bench depth is first rate.
Mm-hmm.
Our starting 8 in the field are first rate. I think we can get the pitching turned around with the infusion of the young arms like Tyon, Glasnow,
Yeah.
and Chad Kuhl pitched an amazing game against the Nationals. You remember watching that one, right, Jim? On Sunday.
He didn't know when it was on.
Yeah. So there's some pieces. Jonathan Neese, who was played his way out of the starting rotation, has filled in very well as a reliever, and I think he'll be more of an asset to us in long relief than he will be as a starter. I still think that Jeff Locke, as maligned as he has been, is an adequate number 5 starter for your rotation.
Don't go overboard.
You know what? He gets the job done. If you watch him, I mean, what do you expect out of your number 5 starter? You're not going to get a 20-game winner out of your number 5 starter, but he's as good as you need him to be. He keeps us in games, and so I think that the Pirates, the arrow's pointing up for them. Definitely, we've got a 20-game span where we got playing sub-500 teams. You get into the month of September. We've got 18 games against the Brewers, the Reds, and the Phillies, which are all sub-500 teams. And actually, if you look at the strength of schedule from now to the end of the season, the Pirates have the easiest schedule moving forward to the end of the season of any team in the major leagues. Now, that all being said, let's not forget, they are playing Major League Baseball teams. And, they made it to the majors because they can play baseball. But I think things are boding well for the Pirates. And, I think it was a good thing here that Jim suggested trading Andrew Mccutchen, because a certain loudmouth that I know recommended the Penguins trade Sidney Crosby. And what did he end up doing, huh? He ended up winning the Stanley Cup and the Conn Smythe Award.
Yeah.
So you know what? I
Lightning
think we
could
needed
strike again.
somebody tell me is trade your superstar, and look what they do.
Well, let's not compare Andrew McCutchen to Crosby. That's like comparing Wilt Chamberlain to a high school center. So,
How do you figure that?
Crosby's great, 2-time world champion. MVP of the league, so on and so forth. And McCutchen's just above average player.
Thanks, Smoking Jim, for your baseball insights and your hockey insights.
And who was a great player before he cut his hair. Everybody don't look good bald.
He has a nice head of hair, Smoking Jim. We got to deal with that all year. So.
Yeah, we got to deal with that. But, so things are looking up for the Pirates. Cervelli came back off the disabled list today. Tyon pitching tonight. Came back off the disabled list. Gregory Polanco's played his first game since July 8th. He walked, scored a run in the first inning. There's a lot of good things happening for the Pirates. Now it's just up to them to put them together. We need to start stacking wins.
Well, I'm just glad we're playing the weakest lineups the rest of the year.
No,
that does help.
Over the last 6 weeks, we probably played the hardest schedule of anybody, and the fact that we came out of that above 500 bodes well for us.
It means something, definitely.
I mean, you look at all the injuries that the Pirates had and still be in the position
that sounds like an excuse.
Well,
that's good.
Sounds like an excuse.
And there's been injuries across baseball, but I think the thing that, with the difficulty that we've had with our starting pitching, in the last 4 to 5 weeks, the bullpen has been exemplary. Okay.
Well, they had a streak of 32 innings. They didn't let a run in.
And the starting pitching has been. Now there have been some major disappointments, and I'll point out the major disappointments on the starting pitching staff. It's going to start with Francisco Lariano. You looked at him as being your number 1A pitcher.
He's who I thought he was.
Garrett Cole, who we looked at to be our stopper, our ace, has been pitching well, but you know what? He's still been a disappointment. Jonathan Neese, the Jonathan Neese experiment seems to be a failure. And you know what? And even Neil Huntington is man enough to admit that maybe that wasn't the best move they could make at the time. The move made sense. It didn't. It wasn't a bad trade. It was a bad result. So there was logic and sense to making that trade. So
sound like they need Archer. Is that what you're saying?
Did you hear this name on the radio?
I've been following him for 3 years.
Okay, tell me what his stats are this year.
He's 27 years old. That's
tell
all
me
I
what
know.
his stats are this year.
All I know.
What is his ERA?
All I know about him.
One
is
loss
that
record.
I don't go by that because the Pirates.
You're an NFL scout, right? Steeler scout. I don't blame you.
I want a veteran pitcher that's proven, and that's Archer. That's available. They want to trade him. Let's bring him in here. He's 27 years old with a manageable salary. His contract looks good.
But here's what the thing is.
For the next few years.
What is the asking price? See, because you're not going to mortgage your future to get somebody that's,
minor league guy.
And to be honest with you, you know what? I don't believe that if you brought in Archer, that he would be the missing piece that would make the Pirates a championship caliber team.
You said that about A.J. Burnett, and he proved you wrong.
I think that what the Pirates need is already in their system.
There we go.
But you said the same thing about A.J. Burnett, and you're wrong. A.J. was the leader that they need.
I was a very big advocate of signing A.J. Burnett when they first signed him.
Must have been another chip.
I never had.
And this debate will continue another day.
Oh, that's right. You didn't want we didn't want them to let AJ go.
Right.
But his wife had a decision in that one. AJ's wife.
Here's a conversation I heard on the radio today, and being that the man to my left is an NFL scout, there has been talks about eliminating the kickoff from football games.
Oh my goodness.
And they're thinking about trying that not this season but next season in college football. And I just would like to know what your thoughts are about that proposal.
Oh man, I tell you, well, this all come from Roger Goodell. I don't remember the last time anybody got hurt on a kickoff return. But they say it's the most violent play in all of football, and they want to eliminate it. I mean, what can you do? You're already cutting out jobs. College football has taken whatever the NFL does to a whole nother level. Now in college football, if you unnecessarily rough a guy, like tackling when he's catching the ball over the middle, if you do it in the first half of the game, then you're kicked out of the rest of the game. But if you do it in the second half of the game, you're kicked out of the rest of that game, and you miss the next game. So, some of the rules some of the rules that football's putting in, they really should go. Now 7-on-7 is very popular in football now and all around the country. They had to go to flag football. I really believe that. People still watch. They'll love it.
Well, and here's the thing that I have a problem with, okay? I think one of the things about a football game that makes it interesting is the clock is winding down and you're behind by, say, 2 scores, and you score a touchdown. Now, if you remove the kickoff, then the possibility of having an onside kick, which could change the momentum of the game. Now, they're saying, well, that the only time you could have a kickoff is when you're having an onside kick. Well, then doesn't that defeat the purpose of having an onside kick? Because if it's no surprise, I mean, how are you going to do that? I just think they're micromanaging. They're trying to micromanage a violent game, and because they're worried about players' health and safety, and they're really not.
Here's what I look for in a defensive football player, and they're taking it away from my scouting. When I look for a defensive player, I look for one thing and one thing only: a player that needs 2 tickets to get into the zoo. One to get into the zoo and a ticket to get out of the zoo.
And that means explain
He's a
that.
tough guy, brother.
But
Silverback.
But see, the Pittsburgh Steelers were the only team that failed to ratify the collective bargaining agreement because they saw the power that Goodell was going to wield, and the NFLPA backed the collective bargaining agreement, and they got the rest of the teams to sign in on it. But now they're stuck with this collective bargaining agreement until 2021. There's not going to be any changes made because they signed a 10-year agreement. So, by the time they get around to changing the collective bargaining agreement, any of the players that are playing in the league right now are going to be long gone, even the guys that were drafted this year. So, when 2021, I could see a serious work stoppage because I don't think that the players are going to allow Goodell to have the power he has now. Right. And I don't think that once Goodell has the power that he has, that he's ever going to relinquish the reins on it.
No. It's not going to happen. And that's Smoking Jim's friend. He has that photo.
But that begs me to ask the question: why would the NFL players re-elect DeMaurice Smith as head of the NFLPA? I mean, what has he done for them?
Wears nice hats. Yeah.
Well, they're bought and paid for by the players.
Yeah, that worked out well.
No, seriously. I mean, I don't think he's doing a very good job, and I don't think he had the best interest of the players. And there were certain people that saw right through what Roger Goodell was trying to do.
Good point.
And
it's happening now. They're living through it.
They're living through it, and and I just think it gets me that football. It's inherently a violent game. It's a collision sport. It's how are you going to keep people from getting hurt? I mean, you just can't. So you know what? When you enter into the game, you know that, I'm not going to have a very long career. I'm going to make as much money as I can, and I'm going to try to walk out of here without my brain being scrambled and being able to walk on my own 2 feet. But this is the trade-off I have.
See, I used to watch football to see guys get knocked off and taken off on a stretcher, just like I used to watch hockey for the fights, and they're killing my passion for both sports.
What are you going to watch on TV?
Roller derby.
Okay. I just wondered. What about kickball on the weekends?
Sanford and Son.
Yeah, all in the family, bro.
You are too much. Dominic, I need you to pull up a close one on this one if you can. We'll be at Atria's PNC Park next week. That'll be Monday the 25th. We'll have our show there back at 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Atria's PNC Park. Come on out to watch us film another show there. It's a great location. What's better than being in a sports stadium with a sports talk show? I mean, I think it's the best. So can't go wrong. We'll be back there. Last night we had a great show at Hollywood Lanes. It was their 90th birthday. Quite impressive there with Lindsay and Jeff, the owner of the place. They had a great group of people, a lot of activities. Smokin' Jim had one of the best cakes. I still don't know why it said Pittsburgh Sportsline. I didn't see any happy birthday Jim on that one, but it was delicious. It was very good. And we had some controversy on Smokin' Jim cutting into the cake. He never did it before. So,
and never any controversy on celebrating for the 5 years that I've known Jim. This is the 5th time we've celebrated his 29th birthday.
Yeah. He's on a streak.
I'm telling you.
It's pretty interesting,
Yeah.
to say the least. But it was a nice cake, Smokin' Jim.
Thank you, sir.
That Pittsburgh Sportsline looked nice on there.
Sweet.
So, being that we're, still kind of glowing in the afterglow of the Stanley Cup championship, the Stanley Cup has been going to some pretty interesting places. This past weekend, Sid Crosby had it in his hometown.
Yeah.
And yesterday, the Cup was in Toronto. Actually, the day before was in Madison, Wisconsin with Phil Kessel. Okay. And he took it up to Toronto, and he took it to a children's hospital that he used to do PR work for and go and visit the sick children.
That's fantastic.
And he brought the Cup up there for the kids to see. They didn't care about the Cup. They were just glad that Phil was back. So instead of, rubbing it in the face of Toronto and the sports fans up there that ran him out of town, he was showing his gratitude and giving back to the less fortunate. Brought up a bunch of jerseys and pucks and signed memorabilia for the kids, and they just
all signed
really
by the Penguins.
Now today the Cup was in Thunder Bay.
Where's that?
It's somewhere in Canada.
Oh, okay.
It's in the eastern part of Canada because the Cup is going to be taking a swing through the western part of Canada this weekend, and next week it'll be in the New England states.
Good.
I know that it's going to be in New Hampshire with what's his name, Ben Lovejoy, and also not far from where my wonderful wife was born, in a town called Biddeford, Maine.
Wow.
Ryan Dumoulin will be bringing the Cup there on August the 9th.
Get on. You
Yes.
guys heading back up?
Oh, I'd love to.
Is the Cup ever going to visit the hood? No.
I don't know. How many Penguins players were born and raised in the hood, Jim? Do you have a count for me?
He's digging deep.
I'm just saying, if somebody, each player gets a chance to take the Cup wherever he wants to take it.
Yeah, and they do.
If it could-
Maybe they'll come see you, Smokin' Jim.
They'll let somebody that holds the cardboard says, I got 2 together. Let them take the Cup for a day.
I don't know if that'll happen, Smokin' Jim.
that won't happen.
You're stretching it there.
So we've got training camp starting next week. And, here's the interesting things that we're going to have on the table for us is what are the Steelers going to do about potentially signing Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. Now, both of those are going to want to be in the top tier of getting paid.
And they deserve it.
And Le'Veon Bell hasn't been able to finish a season in 3 years. He spent the last 2 years with season-ending injuries, and, do you really want to tie up long-term money and put yourself in a salary cap bind with him? Or do you break the bank and pay Antonio Brown what he's worth as the best receiver in the NFL? It's an interesting thing to think about.
Well, you're a year away from having to do anything with Le'Veon Bell, and I would break the bank with Antonio Brown. The only concern I have is he hasn't played since he got knocked out. I don't know how well you can play after that. May not affect him, and it may. I like to see though.
You'd like to see him go across the middle once?
Yeah, I like to see it. I like to see him in a game before I give him all that money. But
Didn't it affect him with Dancing with the Stars?
it did not at all. He was able to put his hand right where it needed to be at all times. Yeah.
That's good. Did he catch the ball?
But we won't be able to see.
This is a family show, Alan.
Yeah, he's doing. He's doing. He's
I didn't
doing
know
good.
Smokin' Jim would unload
He's
on
doing
him.
great in minicamp. He's a hard worker. And
I understand
let's
that
see.
old Mr. Roethlisberger has lost some weight.
He got another kid.
Got himself into some better shape. He said because of knee injuries or whatever last year that he wasn't able to work out the way that he'd liked. And I remember you mentioning something about his portliness.
I thought he got bigger.
Yeah, he was huge on TV. And Ben, in my opinion, is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
You say without any question he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL this year?
Top 2, because I don't think that Brady will get his job back. So Ben may be top 2. Brady may be riding the bench. This is definitely his last year in New England. Jimmy Garoppolo will be the man.
You're hearing it first on Pittsburgh Sportsline. The NFL scouts letting something out.
Yeah, you may see Brady in Denver.
That's what I was going to say. You're going to see John Elway going to sign him up because
I don't blame him. John Elway ended his career winning 2 Super Bowls.
Who is the Broncos quarterback this year?
I'm not sure. They got rid of the quarterback that they had. Osweiler's in Houston.
Did they have Sanchez or something like that, or?
I'm not sure. It's a good question.
That's a good question.
You
have to research that for one of our shows.
Yeah, I got to talk to Emmanuel Sanders and find out.
So I understand you guys are going to be doing some boxing soon with the boxing under the bridge, or is that?
Well, Smokin' Jim will be announcing boxing on the bridge, the Clemente Bridge, with the Cuban fighters.
Before Jim gets into that, I got to make a statement. Sammy Vasquez fought this past weekend. Sammy Vasquez is a friend of the show.
Yeah.
And due to a series of unfortunate events, he lost the fight. And I was so impressed with the post that he put on Facebook after that fight. And in my mind, even though he lost the fight, he's truly a champion, and he's one class act. And I think a lot of professional athletes could learn a lot from the way that he gave grace. He lost graciously, gave credit to the gentleman that beat him, didn't cry about the referees, didn't pout, didn't refuse to do interviews. Boy, that sounds like somebody that for the Carolina Panthers.
Most Mexicans are like that.
But I'll tell you what, I couldn't be more proud that he's from the Mon Valley, the Pittsburgh area. But what a true example for professional athletes.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you what, that kid's going to win a world championship. I'm telling you right now.
Well, he's from Menneson. I wouldn't go to Menneson at gunpoint, but for a guy to have that much class coming out of Menneson is amazing to me. Yeah.
Anywhere, Jim. Anywhere. Yeah. A lot of professional athletes they feel entitled. They're kind of prima donnas, and he's in no way, shape, or form.
But that fight's costing him millions and millions of dollars. And not only did they call it a draw at the end of the fight, but one of the judges from Alabama miscounted, and they had to recalculate. I've never seen that before in boxing, to give him a loss, but that's just unfortunate.
I thought they deducted a point because the other fighter knocked his mouthpiece out of his mouth.
Yeah, his inside of his mouth was cut and swollen, so he couldn't bite down on his mouthpiece. That's why it kept coming out. And the referee, they could disqualify you for that. The referee took a point, but evidently they took a point in the last round, but for some reason the Alabama judge didn't deduct it for some reason. But like Al Levine, the talking machine, always says, only thing square in boxing is the ring.
Well, I didn't get to see the fight. I was busy working. But
it was on the radio.
From what I understand, Sammy wasn't having his best day.
No.
The other guy he fought was on top of his game, and on that day he was a better man.
Sammy's used to knocking out black fighters. He was fighting another Mexican. I think he took it easy on him.
Again, these are Smokin' Jim's valuable
I don't even know what to
opinions.
say to that.
They're his they're valued opinions.
So tell us about the battle on the bridge. Huh? Tell us what you're going to be announcing there.
Well, I would love to go to Cuba because I love to drive old cars. But the Cuban fighters are coming here, and everybody knows that the fighters from Cuba are some of the greatest amateur fighters on the planet. And I got to take my hat off to Western Pennsylvania, fighting international fighters. I really believe that the fighters here in Pittsburgh have the potential to be the next Sammy Vasquez or
Ron Salka.
Salka or Spatafor or Michael Moore or Billy Kahn. There's been great fighters here. One thing I can say about Pittsburgh people in general, they'll fight you any place, anywhere, anytime. They'll show up. Fighters here in Pittsburgh's going to show up, and but they're fighting some of the kids that grow up wanting to be either boxers or baseball players. So it's going to be a good learning experience.
I was a fan of boxing, many years ago. Not so much recently, and I know both of you are. But there was always the question of who was one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, and everybody says Muhammad Ali,
Rocky Marciano.
But there was a Cuban fighter that beat everybody in the Olympics year after year, but never went professional. Teofilo Stevenson.
Yeah, he was great.
How do you think he would have fared against Muhammad Ali in the ring?
He'd have knocked Ali out, with that right hand, just like he did Dwayne Bobbitt and all the rest of them,
He was. I do remember he was a machine. He knocked on everybody that they put in front of him.
Yeah.
This was back in the '76 Olympics.
He would have won 5 Olympics, but they boycotted one of the Olympics, so he won like 4.
Would have that been 1980?
80.
Yeah, that was when the Russians boycotted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable fighter. Yeah, unbelievable.
Well, can't wait to hear you on the 30th there.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. I don't know who I'm going to be working with, but
that won't stop you. You just go out and do it. Well, we got a couple minutes left. Smoking Jim, what's going on this weekend? Anything?
Oh, man, we'll be Friday night. It'll be the Future Stars at the 5-star camp. Al Levine, the talking machine, will be doing play-by-play. I'll be the sideline reporter. And Saturday, we're at the Meadows again, my favorite place in the world.
King of the Cage.
King of the Cage.
MMA. That should be a good weekend. Chip, what's going on?
Well, I've got Pirate games Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday afternoon. It's going to be a great weekend of baseball. I'm going to watch the Pirates slap around some of their opponents. We got two games against the Phillies Friday and Saturday. I'm going to watch the deciding game of the Milwaukee series Thursday night. A little fireworks action going on there, but I'm looking forward to some great baseball.
Sounds like a plan. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thanks, cameraman Dominic, for getting those close-ups. We appreciate it. Thanks to Hayden, the intern, and the control room. Ethan's here helping out, so appreciate that. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. Glad you watched our show. Thanks for all those likes on Facebook. We appreciate it. And all our show will be up tomorrow from the Hall of Fame. We'll have that one up, so... We got a time check? Oh, okay. We got a little extra time. We got 2 minutes to go now. All right. We got an extra minute here on the clock.
Deuces. Yeah.
Yeah. Can't believe it happened. Well, we'll have to cover
2 minutes
that.
left. Tom Mayer, well, look at that. We were at a loss for words. Is this a Pittsburgh Sportsline first?
It's a first.
Al Levine ran out of something to say?
I'll have to dig deep now to figure out something else here with what's going on there. But, yeah. Come out to our Monday night show. You'll hear us talking and meet great guests at Atria's PNC Park. It's just a great venue there.
Great burger.
They got the great burger, the Talking Machine Big Mouth Burger. It's available
We
on
never
the
got the
menu.
nachos yet, huh?
No, we haven't got it. Somebody tried it once and I had some. They were great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a great bunch.
Oh, goodness. Jameson Tyon took
We're
a
out of
ball
time.
off the head and ricocheted into the outfield.
Who did?
And stayed in the game. Jameson Tyon took a line drive off his head.
Oh,
man.
More to come.
That's terrible.
Check in next week.
That's why I
folks.
don't watch it on TV.
Well, hopefully you're not switching that dial yet. You can change it in a couple seconds.
Yeah, Bridge Sports.
Stay Joey strong.